please call citation 48 by title only?
Clerk, please report.
Citation 48, Representative Roberts. Citation of Achievement. The House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors the members and coaching staff of the Cincinnati Bengals football team.
Thank you.
Lady from Campbell.
Unless you don't follow, there's more. Unless you don't follow sports at all, you are aware that one of the last two NFL teams still playing are the Cincinnati Bengals. And they'll be facing some other team Sunday evening in Super Bowl 56. I asked for today's citation because I hope that all of you will join me and so many others in cheering for what I consider our home team, at least for this game. I also extended to you an invitation from Dayton, Kentucky Mayor Ben Baker, who has renamed the city for the duration of the Super Bowl, Who Dayton, and invites you all to be honorary citizens for the weekend. This citation of achievement is for gaining the opportunity to compete in the Super Bowl, the championship game of the National Football League for the 2021 NFL season. Founded by Paul Brown, the Bengals were granted a franchise in May 23 of 1967 and began playing in the 1968 season. The team would appear in its first Super Bowl in 1982 when I was 9, and once again in a championship in 1989. We've had a long drought. There are lots of fun facts about this team, and at this time I would like to yield to the lady from Kenton 63 to please share a few of those.
Chair recognizes the lady from Kenton 63.
Thank you. This is going to be longer than my bill, okay? The Bengals were actually named The Bengals were actually named after other teams with that name had played the Cincinnati in the late 1930s, early 1940s. The Cincinnati Zoo was also home to a rare Bengal tiger. The team was founded in part by Paul Brown, who was also co-founded with the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals were granted a franchise on May 23, 1967, and began playing in the 1968 season. Now I'd like to yield to the gentleman from 69, Kenton 69.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Kenton 69.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Bengals were almost located in Columbus, but the construction of a multi-purpose riverfront stadium helped seal the deal for Cincinnati. Interestingly, the now other team originated in Ohio. The Cleveland Rams were founded in 1936 and stayed in that city through 1945, winning the NFL championship game before leaving the state. But it did not take long for the Cincinnati Bengals to see success. They appeared in their first Super Bowl in 1982 and again in 1989, unfortunately losing both times to the San Francisco 49ers. And I would like to yield to the lady from Kenton 64.
Chair recognizes the lady from Kenton 64.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The 1982 Super Bowl remains the highest-rated football game ever played, with 49% of all televisions tuned in at that time. For comparison, last year's Nielsen rating was 38%. Four other iconic Bengal players and coaches are Ken Anderson, Boomer Esiason, who each quarterbacked the 1980 Super Bowl games and who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and coaches Forrest Gregg and Sam Weish, who led the Bengals to their first two Super Bowls. There were many difficult years during most of the 1990s and early 2000s, and they didn't have a winning season, but they also went through several coaches and top draft picks that didn't quite work out. But I'd like to add that we die-hard Bengal fans never gave up on them. Yes, I'd like to yield to the gentleman from Pendleton. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Pendleton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I promise this will be shorter than my last floor speech. This season, however, is one for the record books. They won their first playoff game in 31 years, ending the longest active playoff drought among all four major sports franchises. The next week, they went to Nashville and won their first ever road playoff game. And then they beat Kansas City Chiefs to win a trip to the Super Bowl. The Bengals' top receiver, rookie Jamar Chase, set a franchise record with 1,455 yards on the season, the fourth most ever among all NFL players. Joe Burrow has the opportunity to do something never done, win a national championship in college, the Heisman Trophy, and the Super Bowl, and this is just his second season. At this time, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield to the gentleman from Kenton 65.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Kenton 65.
Thank you, gentlemen. We should recognize that rookie kicker Evan McPherson is the only kicker selected in the NFL draft last year. It didn't take long to make his mark. He has been 12 for 12 in the playoffs, setting a record for the most field goals without a miss in a single season, 12 combined 50-yard field goals this year. And I can tell you from personal experience, and if you want to go YouTube, my speech is on what it takes to be a holder and the perfection it takes to do a successful kick. You should take a look at that. The Super Bowl matchup features the youngest coaches ever to face off, both in their 30s. And finally, the Bengals are the third team to go from having the NFL's worst record being in the Super Bowl 2 years later. In fact, the Bengals won only 6 games the past 2 seasons, more than doubling it so far this season. And Democrats, take note. I yield back to the lady from Campbell.
Lady from Campbell.
Thank you, members. Inasmuch as the members and coaching staff of the Cincinnati Bengals have demonstrated such phenomenal skill and perseverance in recent years and have become an inspiring story of redemption and determination, the members of this body are delighted to join, I hope, me in applauding for those associated with this beloved football team and extending them our best wishes for the utmost success and good fortune as they go on to compete for the highest honor in all football. Mr. Speaker, would you please open the board for co-sponsorship, and I move adoption.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from Ohio, would you also like to comment on this? Clerk, open the board for those members wishing to co-sponsor. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Edmondson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I just want to clarify very quickly. The gentleman from Kenton 65 many times has said we need to explain things for the folks at KET watching at home. And I just want to be clear, we've had the gentleman from Ohio pass a raise for state troopers, and we've talked about the Cincinnati Bengals today. We are representatives from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I just want to clarify that for the body.
Thank you, gentlemen. Citation is adopted without objection.